Chinese has a long tradition of alcoholic consumption. Before we drink rice wine is more dominant, then later spirits, and nowadays maybe beer, but wine is growing because it's more fashion, healthy to your body. There are a lot of different nationalities in China. There are 56 minor nationalities, but comparatively, China is more peaceful, more compatible. So many nationalities, different religions, but compared to other countries, the people in China actually more good to each other. Because in China we have a long history. We fight each other for so long, and now we find a way to be peaceful to each other and live a better life. Yeah, that's one thing. Second thing, because Chinese is more agricultural, so our people is more quiet. We don't travel a lot. So you can see in the park, so many older generation, they have fun near their house, not going abroad for traveling. But I think for our generation or maybe next generation might be more adventurous. Yeah, they try to throw the coin inside to get some luck. One, two, three. Wow, I missed. I need some skill. I think the tradition in China is quite deep. Yeah, it never dies, but also people love to be curious, to know the world, and such as even the older generation, they start to drink wine. Yeah, they enjoy that. They think even I'm getting elder, but my heart is quite young. I need to know more than the young people. I fell in love with wine in 2004 when I arrived in Manchester. Just as the first weekend, I fell in love with wine because I'm curious, as most Chinese young people do. I try to find some alcoholic drink, and then I found that wine is so ordinary drink in Europe, rather than in China. At that time, it's a luxury, so I choose wine to drink. And later, I finished my WSET diploma in 2010, and then I think I need to go back to China to to promote wine. So I choose wine education in China, and now it's 7 years. In these 7 years, I see the change of Chinese wine culture. Nearly 7 years ago, some rich people, they still drink wine with a Sprite inside. Why? Because they don't like the astringency and acidity. But now, they know how to appreciate dry red wine now because their taste changes and Chinese people learn fast.
This is a winery from a wine region not far away from Beijing. From here, it's just about 100 kilometers, and the name of the wine region is Huailai. This is the most famous wine region in China now, and this is one of the wineries in the wine region, and there are, I think, several wineries like that in China now, not only in this wine region and also in other provinces. And they have good qualities, but the price is I think maybe a little bit higher compared to the imported wine, maybe wine from Portugal. But they are very, very popular. People in China, they like the local wines. And this is the most, I think, have the most quality in this winery. Ganbei. It's a cool wine region. It's very cool in the wine region. So this is not a typical Cabernet Sauvignon. I think it's light body and not too much tannin, and it's a little bit like Pinot Noir. I think I didn't try this vintage before, but the other vintages of this winery are like this. Okay, this is just traditional Beijing food. It's a hot pot for most of the food are lamb, and also we eat some beef and vegetables, and nowadays some seafood. But in the past, I think most of the food are lamb. Most of Chinese people use beer to prepare this hot pot, and nowadays some wines are also used to prepare to this kind of food. And we would like to use sparkling wines and light-bodied red wine and some white wines to prepare this. I'm running an online wine store and also a wine shop in Beijing. And my online wine store is selling wine to all over China. And we've just started importing some wine directly from the winery to China last year, I think. And from this year, we are trying to get more and more different kinds of wines directly from the winery. In my wine store, the price would be a little bit higher. The price ranges from 59 to 500, around 500. I mean RMB, in RMB. But the whole wine market in China, the wine industry in China, I think the prices would be a little bit lower. The best sellers in the other stores, I think they might be around 30 to 40 RMB. They are the best sellers.
Portuguese wine is not that hard for Chinese people to accept, but you need your presence here. You need a lot of promotion, because at the moment in China, Chinese people nowadays it's like a white paper. They believe what you tell them. If you don't come here and tell them the beauty of Portuguese wine, they don't know. But maybe just one wine a lot of professionals like and they drink is port wine, because port has a lot of reputation worldwide. But I know there are many table wine from a good quality table wine from Portugal. I think we need to do wine courses, education, master class to tell people how good or how modern style of Portuguese wine is. Otherwise, Chinese people, they don't know. We had a master class. So many people love pot. Yeah, and there are so many females. Yeah. So the wine in China is a lifestyle, healthy, fashion, and it grows a lot. For the imported wine, about 10 years ago, maybe only a few, maybe 5% of the wine consumption, but now it is more than 30%. So the Chinese wine actually also grows. So that means the market grows, but the imported wine grows much faster. Normally in Europe, maybe the food you tried is from Canton. But in China, there's at least 8 kinds of cuisine. Canton is just one of them. And Canton food is more mild compared with the most popular food, Sichuan style in China is quite spicy. I think maybe because of the spiciness, so it's a little bit harder to pair with wine. And in my area, it's Shandong. It's more salty food. Yeah. And also there's west of China. The food is more spicy and sour. So I think it's quite diverse style of food. One wine is very hard to pair with so many kinds of styles. There are 3 kinds of tofu dishes. It's from soybeans. It's like binkers, but they can be made in 3 very different styles. It could be a little bit sweet with a crab, yeah, and it could be sliced, yeah, very slim sliced, and like thread. The other one is a little bit harder in texture. So just one tofu could be made in such kind of a style. No mention the other food. Like that chicken is marinated in yellow Chinese rice wine. The flavor is quite tasty. So I think it's a little bit hard to pair with normal table wine. Maybe sherry wine or Oloroso is more preferred. Yeah.
Okay.
The Chinese people has more money. They want a quality life. Yeah. I think wine now is really a fashion and especially about a cultural drink. Especially Chinese people now has go abroad. They start to pick up the Western food and wine pairing culture. So Chinese people are curious.
Veja este e outros episódios do programa A Essência na página de Facebook da Revista de Vinhos.